Learning faster than your competition is the ultimate superpower in business. I call it velocity of learning. And this is a trait that I look for every single time I hire a new employee. Learning is a skill. And just like any skill, some people are better than others. But also, skills can be developed and improved on, and you can master them. With learning in particular, there's a framework that I personally use every time I run into a situation where I have to learn something quickly for my business. Now, I'm not talking about memorization techniques. I'm definitely not gonna tell you, hey, write things down with a pen and paper. That's not what I'm talking about. Stick around and I'm gonna break it all down for you in detail so you can learn exactly what I do to learn quickly. There is a lot out there already, but learning for business is different. It's like we're not learning how to play the piano or how to learn a language. We're learning something because we need to learn it. Like if we don't learn it, we'll fail. Like we have to learn how to do this thing in order to advance in our business. So it's just like a different game altogether. But I also think it's good. It makes it much easier because there's that urgency. You're not doing it just to do it. You don't have a choice. But at the same time, in most cases, you don't need to really master whatever it is that you're trying to learn, especially if you're like an operator, you're an executive, or you're a business owner, a small business owner. You want to be dangerous at a lot of different things. You don't need to be the best at it. So if you're a leader, you're going to be hiring people who are the best at that thing. Mostly what I'm talking about in this video is not how do you master something. It's no, how do you learn something fast? And then you can equip yourself to be able to do whatever it is you need to do. So if you're going to hire somebody to do a specific function, you better at least understand that function to some extent, like more than 20-hour extent. You shouldn't hire a designer if you don't know anything about design. That's a terrible idea. That would trigger your need to learn the thing. Hey, I need design. And people don't do this, and I think it's a huge mistake. In business, people are like, oh, I'm gonna hire the expert to do the thing. Like that's my skill, and that's what I'm good at, is like I'm able to find the people who know the thing and I bring them in, and that's nonsense. How do you know you're hiring a good person if you don't even know anything about the thing? How are you gonna lead them and direct them to build out the function in your company if you don't even know anything about the thing? In order to get to that point, you need to first learn. So this is very straightforward. I mean, the whole point here is just learn enough to be able to start doing. Watch some YouTube videos, read some articles, scan some books, whatever you got to do. Just don't spend more than a few days doing this. Avoid things like courses. Don't go down that route. You can always do more later, but the whole starting point needs to be just around getting enough information in your mind about the subject to start doing whatever it is you're trying to do. So there's this concept of subject matter role models. It's kind of the key for me. The whole point is like, I don't want to reinvent the wheel. There's somebody that came before me that's doing what I'm trying to do, and they're doing it very well. So let me watch and let me learn directly from them. Let's take YouTube, for example. There are hundreds of different YouTubers out there that are super successful, right? If not thousands, but there's a super wide range in terms of what these creators are doing and how they're approaching things. So I have a vision of where I want to be and what I want to be doing. For me, I need to go out and find that subject matter expert who is the closest to what I'm trying to do and is doing it in a way that I'm trying to do it. So it's not going to be exact. I wouldn't want to go take somebody who's doing business content and create the exact same everything the way they're doing it, because that wouldn't be interesting or deserving of existing on YouTube at all. I need to bring something unique and valuable to the table. The point is, you want to have a couple of role models. You'll pick up on the people that you respect that are doing what you're trying to do just as you're learning and as you're wrapping your head around things. It's going to come in handy later, because as you're digging and drilling into certain components of the subject or skill that you're trying to learn, then you can go see, okay, how does my role model do it? And then you can watch. And sometimes they might even have tutorials or how-tos showing you exactly how they do it. So where the magic really starts to happen is when you start doing. So as soon as you feel like you know the first thing to do to get going on whatever it is you're trying to learn, that's when it's the right time to start doing. And you want to get there as fast as possible. If it's taking you more than 20 hours, you know that you're off base, you're doing too much, and you need to get better at learning faster. The key to learning fast is doing. Like, you have to actually jump in and do the thing. The reason why is as you start to do, you run into things, you hit walls. And the faster you can hit the walls, the faster you can learn, because once you hit that wall, you're like, okay, I hit this wall. Like, how do I get through the wall? How do I break through that? And the answer's out there. Let's take YouTube. How do I grow a YouTube audience? First of all, we have to learn how to just make a video. How do we make a YouTube video? There's all these different components of it. And so as you jump in, you'll learn what those components are. And that's really the key, because then you can take a single component and you can start to break that down and kind of master that component. And I really, really highly recommend focusing on one component at a time. So let's jump back to the YouTube example. The very first thing that I had to figure out is just like, how do I even shoot a video? Like, I didn't really even know how to do that. It didn't matter like what I even said or how I said it. It just mattered, can I get the shot that I'm looking for and the style and how it looks, just in terms of the raw footage. That took me some time to figure out. So I focused on just that. And I got that to a point where I'm like, okay, cool. Now let me move on to the next thing. And the next thing was how I say things. I didn't want to sound like I was reading a script. I didn't want to be robotic. The key to my strategy is like, I want to be relatable. I want to be a real person. How do I do that? As I get into each of these things, like, I don't just figure it out myself. Like, I'm going to go see what other people are doing. And so that's where that role model comes into play, is like, okay, I know I can trust so-and-so. How do they set their videos up? I will find specific tutorials that show me how to do it in the way that I'm trying to do it. There's just so much information out there about literally anything. Half the battle is really just knowing what to look for. And so as you hit those walls, you know what to look for. And then you just keep going through it. And before you know it, you're getting better and better and better. And you're learning faster and faster and faster. And then you'll just suddenly be to a point where you're like, I kind of know how to make YouTube videos now. I'm getting pretty decent at this. When you learn by doing, there's a couple other things that happen. First of all, the urgency and the focus is like next level. You're just gonna have so much more urgency and so much more focus when you're learning something, because you're trying to do it, not the other way around. The other thing is you just tend to retain the information a lot better when you're actually trying to do it. You can think back on your experience of going through that versus just like, oh, I'm sitting here like consuming a course or reading a book, and it's very applicable to the exact thing that you're trying to figure out and do. So at this point, you're gonna start to feel like you at least have a sense of what's going on. I'm not gonna say like you know what you're doing, but you kind of at least understand the subject and you know where you're trying to go and what you're trying to do. So now it's all about continuous improvement, taking it one theme at a time and just practicing by doing. Focus on shipping, but also don't be afraid to stop and learn, right? So there's a delicate balance. There's a bit of an art to learning. You want to learn fast, you want to go quickly, you want to get things done, you want to ship, you want to get that momentum, but at the same time, you want to stop and you want to reflect and you want to review and you want to understand, oh, okay, this is an opportunity to improve here. This way it'll get this much better or that much better. And so each time just find a couple more things to try to improve on, and just continuous improvement over and over and over. The next thing is a little bit more just like tactical kind of tip that is going to sound weird and like a waste of time, but I'm telling you, just try it and you will see that this is a game changer. What I'm talking about is writing SOPs. You'll write an SOP when you need to write an SOP. I'm saying write the SOP right from the beginning. So YouTube, how to shoot your video. I'm the only person shooting my video. Nobody else needs to know how I shoot my video, but I still write out step by step how to shoot my video. Everything from the settings on my camera, to the recording, to the lighting, to the audio, everything, how I have everything set up. I had to learn all of that in order to know that to begin with. What happens as I'm doing that is it sparks questions. It sparks questions, but it also sheds a light on the gaps. So I could say, okay, well, how's my audio set up? I don't actually know how my audio's set up. I should probably know how my audio's set up. I'm just doing whatever without really understanding why or what it is that I'm doing. So once I get down to the SOP and I'm forced to write it down and I'm forced to get into the details, it forces me to answer these questions that I don't know the answers to. So I'm like, okay, let me go figure that out. And I start searching Google or YouTube, and then, oh, okay. And I tweak my settings and I'm like, okay, now this is the way it should be. All right, cool, done. I just learned about audio. But writing out your SOP is also valuable for two more practical reasons. For one, you might be diving really deep into something right now for your business, but it won't be long before you're diving into the next thing. You're gonna set this down, you're gonna pick something else up. So if you can come back to these SOPs, it's gonna help you pick it right back up where you left off later on when it becomes relevant again. The other thing is that at some point, you'll probably wanna delegate aspects of whatever it is that you're figuring out. There's a bunch of reasons why you should be writing SOPs from day one, even though it's gonna feel like a waste of time. It's gonna feel like you're not learning faster by doing that. It's taking you longer, but I'm telling you, you'll learn better and you will ultimately learn a lot faster. Speaking of learning, if you wanna learn how to be an entrepreneur, you're building a business, you're involved in business, even if you're just a competitor in the business world, then you should follow me and subscribe to my channels. I hope that I can be your role model in that arena, and I hope to see you in the comments. Shoot me an email, hit me up on Instagram, hit me up on LinkedIn, whatever. I'd love to have a conversation and talk business with you. Thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next video.